everybody, I'm Liz.
I'm Colton.
And today we're going to mix things up for my birthday and do another video with my husband, which is the Try a Chapter Challenge. My husband, he's not a book reader, mind you, and he hasn't read a book since grade school. So
Probably.
we're pretty sure he hasn't read a book since grade school. We're a bit fuzzy on what books he has and hasn't read. I know he has not read all of the Harry Potter books. So I was inspired to do this video from Emma from Emma's Books because she had her boyfriend come on and read some popular books to see if he would like them and continue on, as he's also not a reader. So I decided to do the same. And I picked 5 really popular booktuber and just reader in general books. We'll see if he likes them. I'm not sure. And he picked 5 books for me to read that I have yet to read that are on my shelves. We'll see if I like them. So our first book picks, I chose The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins.
Then I chose Cage of Deceit by Jennifer Davis.
So we're gonna read a chapter and get back to you and see what if we like them or not. Alright, so I just finished reading The Cage of Deceit. It is a high fantasy book where there's a girl, an empress, princess by day, vigilante by night, and to stop her country from going into war, she needs to marry a prince. The first chapter was pretty interesting. Takes off with her stopping a thief and then managing court the next day with a billow bruise on her face. So it was pretty interesting. I feel like getting into the writing style took me a little bit longer, but by the end of the chapter I was kind of feeling it. So yeah, could definitely see myself reading this later on. What about you? What do you think about The Hunger Games?
I had The Hunger Games. It's a lot like the movie Hunger Games.
Yeah.
So if you want to know what it's about, watch the movie The Hunger Games.
Okay, but did you like reading it?
It took me a little bit to start visualizing everything, and then I was able to.
Yeah.
It's good.
But did you like reading it?
I mean, I'm not opposed to reading it. But I would rather do other things than read.
Okay. Next book of choice, I have Divergent by Veronica Roth for Kolton to read.
I have The Plague by Joanne Dame? Dom?
One of the two.
Dachem. Dachem.
I already know what this is about. It's about a girl who looks like the princess, and they doppelganger up, and I think the princess ends up dying.
That's such a coincidence, because I also know what Divergent is about. It's based off the movie.
Oh my gosh.
Why do people in books basically say, my mom could be beautiful, or I guess she might be?
Like for the mom or for her?
The mom.
I don't know.
Angels and skylines meet.
Alright, so finished The Plague And I really liked it. Like, I could definitely read this. I was immediately put into the world. And the way that everything was explained, because I read the prologue and the first chapter, because the prologue was only like 3 pages, so it was really short. And even like reading just the prologue, I was pretty hooked. So it's definitely a good one.
Divergent. It was okay.
It was okay?
It was okay.
It was okay. Anything else? Any thoughts? Besides, it was okay.
Wasn't as good as the other one.
You didn't like it as much as The Hunger Games?
I mean, I could still, like, read it, but it doesn't capture my attention as much.
So, next up we have A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab.
And Scythe.
We'll see what we think. This is by Neil Schusterman.
Schusterman.
Yes. Done?
Yeah.
Alright. So, reading Scythe. It was very interesting. Apparently this is a world where humanity has conquered death. So there's no disease or dying or aging. And so basically there are people called scythes who do the killing to prevent overpopulation. And our main character, Citra, is going to apprentice as a scythe, but she doesn't get there in the first chapter. The first chapter is them meeting a scythe. And it was a very interesting interaction. But yeah. Definitely intrigued me, and I can see myself for sure reading more of this book. So, what do you think of A Darker Shade of Magic?
Interesting.
Interesting? How was the first chapter?
It was good.
It's good.
I could see myself reading it more.
Did you like it as much or more than Hunger Games?
I think I would like it more.
You like it more than the Hunger Games?
Yeah. It's a magic guy.
Yeah. So the next books we've chosen, I picked Illuminate by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff.
Vicious by V.E. Schwab.
V.E. Schwab.
Schwab.
So you've already read A Darker Shade of Magic for V.E. Schwab. Now I get to read Vicious, which is a book I haven't read of hers yet. And it's about these people have superpowers. This was not at all what I expected. I thought it was about like superheroes and supervillains and people with powers, and that's nothing like what I had just read. It's about, well, I mean, like, I know it's about two guys, Victor and Eli, and how like their friendship kind of gets morphed into this like feud. Kind of like it's kind of pitched like Magneto and Xavier, you know, how they were friends, but then they became enemies.
Yeah.
Like, something like that. And I guess I can kind of see that, but it was interesting. Like, the first chapter is Victor and this girl, this, like, 13-year-old girl named Sydney, digging in a cemetery.
Oh.
And I don't know why. And then the second chapter is 10 years previous to Victor and Eli in their last year as an undergrad in college.
Okay.
Picking their thesis for their science course. So, I don't know. I mean, it was like, I had to get into it, but once I got into it, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is interesting. But it's just nothing like what I expected. So, yeah. So, Illuminate, tell us what you think.
It was decent. I could see myself reading more. It's definitely set up so that it's more logical and less emotional. Mm-hmm. Which is the type of things I like.
Yeah. So, do you like that the most so far? Or did you like a Darker Shade of Magic more?
I don't know.
But you definitely can see yourself reading more of that.
I can see myself reading more of it.
Question is, would you?
No.
Alright, last book for Kolton to read is Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. This is a book where all magi have been killed, and anybody who are their descendants who have the potential to have magic have had that magical ability stripped from them. Our main character is going to eventually in this book try to bring magic back.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. I got Impulse by
I think it's
Hopkins.
Ellen Hopkins or something like that.
Hopkins.
Alright, I just finished reading Impulse by Ellen Hopkins. I got a good chunk read while waiting for him to finish up his chapter. I read about 50 pages. It's really written in verse, so it's super easy to read this really quick. And it has 3 points of view. They're each at Aspen Homes. It's this living facility for those in... It's basically like a mental institution. All 2 point of views are there because of a failed attempt for suicide, and 1 is there due to an overdose, presumably also a failed attempt for suicide. So it's pretty dark, especially when we meet each character. It goes into their attempts. So definitely trigger warnings if you have any of that. It was pretty interesting. I feel like even though it is told in verse, like you're still getting a pretty good idea and description about the characters and kind of what they're going through in this mental facility. So it's pretty interesting.
I read the Children of Blood and Bone.
How was chapter 1?
It was okay.
It was alright?
It was okay. Probably I'm not going to read more.
I didn't quite love chapter 1 in that book either. I didn't start to really enjoy the story until about 3, 4, or 5 chapters in.
That's way too long. That's like half the book.
So getting about a 10th of the way into the book is when I started really enjoying it. So it's okay. I know where you feel. So we ranked these books in our top 5. So our first pick book that we liked the most for me was The Plague.
Illuminate was mine.
And then our second favorite for me was Scythe.
A darker shade of magic.
Then my next pick was Impulse.
Hunger Games.
For 3. Number 4 for me was Vicious.
Divergent.
And number 5 for me was Cage of Deceit.
Children of Blood and Bone.
Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed watching as I tried to get Kolton into reading. Don't think it worked out very well, but it was still fun while it lasted. I hope you liked watching this, and you will stick around on my channel by liking this video, subscribing, and commenting down below if you've ever done this tag. And I will see you again next time. Love you guys. Bye!